Welcome back for our second of three feature matches this week. We have here Spaghetti Mitch, who's been my commentary partner on several top eights, playing against Michael M. or Atom Bomb. So notably, before we get into what's the contents of Michael's hand, these two players, once they found out they were paired against each other for their future match, they decided to have this be each of their first match. So we were seeing league decks pretty much at their most primitive form. Um, so what are we looking at with Michael's deck here? Looks like he's mulliganing
Uh,
twice.
he mulliganed to five because the first hand had no green in it, and he had two green cards.
Okay.
The rest were lands.
Yeah. So
Second hand had no lands, and this hand looks perfectly reasonable now.
all right. So we did get to see Mitchell's deck or Mitch's deck while we were waiting for the match to start, and he's playing an Abzan five color deck. So it's Abzan with some blue and red thrown in there and some domain cards. So Mitch's hand is a little clunky here. He has a Scout the Wilderness. Next turn he'll be able to play a Czar Ojanin, which is a powerful card. But other than that, his land is a Gaia's Might, or his hand is a Gaia's Might and three lands with the Czar. So if he doesn't draw some non-lands and his 4/4 is answered, might have a tough go. He's deciding which of his lands to go get. He decided on Mountain. All right, so Michael might just start attacking for three here with his little construct. Uh,
Notably, Michael did have King Gary in his hand. Decided that he didn't want to say King me and play him.
okay. So okay, that's an interesting choice to just go for the attack when you have a King Darien. But now Mitchell has played his line breaker Baloth. He still has the Tsar in hand, and he drew Elas Ilkor, which is that white black uncommon two drop legend.
I love that card. Drains when a creature control dies and gains life. It's a Soul
Yeah, so
Sister and
yeah, yeah, so it gains a life when your creatures come in, and it makes opponent lose life when your creatures die. So he's got a Tsar here. It's not going to put any counters presently, uh, due to its he does not have a full domain. He has four. I guess it'll put it. No, it won't put it on anything yet. He's a, he's got a pretty safe attack here. His creature is unblockable, except by the 4/4. But he'll decide to just play back instead. So he could have attacked for four there pretty cleanly, but then he would have been getting attacked back by the mana worker.
I think with Mitch being at the lower life total here, it makes sense because trading like equal damage ultimately
All
is
right,
better for the person with more life.
so there's a trick here of some kind, right?
Yes, he has Take Up the Shield as well as a Strength of the Coalition.
Okay, and what's his last card then in hand?
It will be a Clockwork Drawbridge.
Okay, so it looks like they're trading off tricks here. Uh, so nothing's. Michael's going to gain some life, and they're both going to lose their tricks. So the drawbridge comes down. All right. So Mitch has drawn a Herloon Battle Hymn, which can kill off that King Darien, which can start making tokens at some point. So he can spend his turn playing his two spells, which are Elas and the Battle Hymn. And let's see if he decides he wants to attack. Looks like he's going to attack. That was a little curious because if he played the Elas first, he would get a counter on it, and he
Oh
doesn't have
yeah,
anything else to do. So like he has land, battle him, and the Elas. So uh, if he played the Elas, he would have got a counter on it. As it stands, he's going to play it second main phase. Hold up his battle him, but if he wants to kill the King Darien with it, there's no reason to just not use it immediately, and he's come to that conclusion, or is about to come to that conclusion.
maybe the Drawbridge is too strong.
I don't think that's his concern right now. Also, drawbridge
Uh,
is you don't want to tap the Zaro Janin with a drawbridge. All right, so he uses a pump spell here to keep Darien alive. So they're basically out of cards now. Mitch has a land and Michael is top decking. So
Michael has just top decked the Citizen's Arrest.
Okay, so that's
which
going to
is
be very helpful.
he's just deciding which creature to take. Does he take the Ella so he could get like a hit back in, or does he take the Zarojan just as the better card?
Yeah, he's going to take the Ilas here just for the I mean the death touch, but also just the incremental advantages that you get from it. All right, so Mitch has drawn his Argivian Phalanx, which is going to be a 4/4 vigilance here. So just another big creature. When Michael draws an untapped land, he can start activating Darien. Uh, but until then, looks like they're just going to trade damage here and there.
Besides untapped land, it's hard to imagine what cards would be better in the situation when you have a King Darien in play.
Yeah, you just want to start using it, I think.
Yeah,
So let's
and
see
there's
what.
the untapped land.
Okay, so the only issue is that the tokens don't block the Linebreaker Baloth, but this Mana Worker does. So
This mana worker has gone some heavy lifting.
yeah, this Mana Worker is much more powerful than his original iteration. This 1/3 is now a 5/5 with an axe no less. So Michael is unlikely to attack here. Mitch
Because this is
does
week one of League,
more.
and especially this is like the first primitive game. Note like every below average card gets like suddenly a lot better and more
Oh,
useful.
oh yeah. Like you have to find uses for cards that you usually don't in draft or normal sealed because you just don't put them in your deck a lot of the time, or they only go in your deck in very specific occasions. But here you just gotta play more or less uh, anything you can to make playables. When you're playing something like 5 color, you could be a bit more picky, but yeah, Mana
Just
Worker. Mana
looking,
Worker is like a classic week 1, week 2 card. Starting week 3, you basically won't see people running it anymore. But in the early days, it's just needed. Like in the vein of other cards like Prismite, Stonework, Pack Beast, all those effects that just you gotta play them early on. You don't like playing them; they're not good cards for the most part. But that's 60 cards sealed. You just gotta play those. Gotta make your mana.
I mean, just looking at Michael's board, you have like some pretty card. There are some cards that you just wouldn't find in a normal draft deck. Typically, the Mana Worker is like a very niche
Oh,
card that you would put in.
looks like you might
It
be
would have
getting
its
a.
utility.
So I'm curious as to the equip rather than just make a token and not attack. So now we're gonna have a King Darien war here.
Uh,
So they can't both be the 48th though, right? One of them is like 48.5, I guess.
maybe one just an evil twin that we
Yeah,
just
it
didn't know
could be.
about.
But King Darien looks better for Mitch than it does for Michael, just based on the
Oh
size of the
yeah,
creatures here. These
it
are all
it also
just
looks
yeah, and
it looks like
Zara
Canary is going under the
attacking
bus.
will actually put counters on Darien and the tokens that will come from it. Yeah, so the Baloth can actually attack for. Well, it could have been attacking for 10 and forced a chump block there, actually.
I mean, Darian still has the jump block in this situation.
Yeah, it still has to. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that Darien, and I think that was a bit of a. That was maybe a
Hasty
little bit of a
attack.
greedy attack with the Mana Worker. Like that 5/5 was holding back most of the things going on there. Now he just has no recourse here. So short of a board wipe, we will be going to the second game. Yeah, so the mulligan really hurt him, obviously, but he was hanging in there um, as best as he could. He found that land. He could start making tokens, but he decided to equip instead, which was uh, uh, not not the obvious play. I don't think. So we saw all sorts of colors from Michael's lands, but we only saw green and white cards there. So we can assume, and you get to see his deck now, that he's a green white base with multicolored.
Yes, he is splashing some red cards,
Okay. Yeah.
and he seems to just be playing Aquafire for like domain
Yeah,
reasons
that's
and or
normal.
kicker reasons that I can't see immediately.
Yeah. So Mitch here, Hurloon, Battle Hymn, Lightning Strike, and Wrath are his splashes. Otherwise, he's playing an Abzan deck. Looks like he's bringing in a Broken Wings. He saw, well, a few artifacts there. Not really ones you care to kill all that much. There was a Citizen's Arrest, though. So you could maybe nab that. Yeah, so Mitch has he has the top of his curve has three of those Linebreaker Baloths, which in these early weeks when the creatures are mostly going to be small and just board stalls, that card can break through board stalls, and he just had three of them. So that's a that's a good tool to have in these early days. So anything else that Michael's considering doing over there?
I saw him take out a Floriferous Vine Wall. I
Okay,
don't know. I didn't quite catch what he put in. I was just
yeah,
trying to examine the deck and with
yeah,
contents.
it's not a card you normally side out very much. Just like the decks need them. So yeah,
Yeah,
so Mitch sided out his Gaia's Might, the 1 mana trick, just for Broken Wings. So just a small change there.
the Broken Wings I imagine just for the Citizen's Arrest, and I suppose the Mana Worker just looked too strong in that game.
I guess if Mana Worker is a 5/5 again, it's worth Broken Wings, but probably not in most other cases that you see it. Though of note, it is the best version of this effect we've seen because usually you're down a mana to fix with Prismite and all those other ones. So this one actually doesn't put you down a mana. So Mitch has his Crystal Grotto, Scry's Hurling Battle him to the bottom. He has a Root Wallet to play on turn 2. Okay, there's a 3/2.
Michael is missing white
Okay.
and is currently holding Queen Elenel
Okay.
and two, they take up the shield and artillery blast, and now a clockwork drawbridge.
Okay, so the Queen, is that double green or double white to cast?
It's double white,
Okay, so
so I don't foresee it being casted anytime soon unless he hits a string of planes.
yeah, so Mitch is also going to have some mana issues here if he doesn't draw planes, because he has several white cards, uh, and a lightning strike and a green 5 drop. So like
The
he has
Crystal
a
Grotto.
Juniper Order Root Weaver that he can't kick. He just has to pay 3 mana to cast it as a 2/2, which is not where you want to be. All right, there's the planes. So it's like
The game is
Michael might be in
very.
business. They're just firing off all their tricks here. Or Michael's firing
I
off
know
all his
you
tricks.
express your you don't like the Crystal Grotto as much as I do. I just find it to be, pretty fantastic in the set, honestly.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
like,
it's it's been very bad in the past, that effect, and it doesn't help domain. So that's why I'm okay with it in like a two color based deck where you're splashing kicker costs or maybe 1 or 2 cards. But in a deck where you have lots of cards that cost all different colors, I'm less on it. But I mean, it is letting him cast the spells here, so I can't bemoan it too much because otherwise Mitch would be casting 0 spells.
oh, I just like how they added the Scry one as well.
So I guess Michael has run out of tricks because he did not attack there last turn. He used up 2 of his tricks to keep his iconoclast going.
Yeah, the artillery blast. I guess it's pretty cute with the drawbridge.
I mean, the artillery blast, he could just use it to just off the gardener when attached for mana. Like that could be a totally reasonable use for it as well. Okay, he's just gonna tap it right now, uh, so that he can't use it on his turn. Uh, Not a
I
bad
like the
move.
play.
That does actually restrict Mitch because he does not have between his hand he has a Captain's Call, which he can't cast, and he has an Elfame Worm, which if he draws a land he can cast on tap land. So it actually messes him up more than you would think when he's on 4 mana. You would think when he's on 4 mana he can cast most things, but that's not the case. But he has drawn an untapped land, so we're going to see a 5/4 here. He could also cast Captain's Call, but I imagine the 5/4 is better.
Yeah, I think the tap was a very heads up play, seeing that Mitch was casting white cards without exactly white mana.
Yeah, I mean when you're playing when you're playing a 3 mana 2/2 that you don't even get the kicker on it. It's you got to jump on that if you can. So Michael did lose his turn to do that, right? He didn't get to do anything else with his turn,
Sure.
and Mitch still got to make an impactful play that turn, which was the Elfheim Worm. So the I think the intention was good, but it didn't quite work out because Mitch drew that on tap land. So what are his options now with 4 cards in hand?
4 cards in hand, you still cannot cast the Queen Elena because he is
Yeah.
missing a second white source. He
Mm-hmm.
has also a Heroic Charge, which he also can't cast because he's also missing the second white
Fair.
source. Uh, I think if I were with an Artillery Blast and a Strength of the Coalition being the +2/+2 pump, I think he could manage to find a tricky way to get rid of the worm by just like tapping it with the drawbridge and then killing it on its turn.
Yeah, yeah. So the artillery blast does not work against vigilance creatures, but artillery blast plus this tapper here uh, can combo to take down a creature. So pretty cute little interaction here. So Mitch has the chance to attack. Yeah, he's gonna actually send in. Looks like he's thinking about sending in a 3/3 here. He has a captain's call to follow up. Captain's call doesn't block particularly well though, obviously.
3/3 just represents such a good block for him on the 4/3. It's like the opponent's at 24. I think he's content to just take it slower.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cast his captain's call here. He um, doesn't have anything to do with the tokens right now. Yes, always leave the
I
grotto untapped. That's the arena way.
I think that's the yeah.
honestly, I
For
honestly I think I would have rather just tapped 5 lands and left the gardener on untapped because he can't cast any of his instants anyway because he has a white instant and a red instant, so he has no white or red actual lands. So I kind of
wait,
like leaving
what
the
is the
gardener.
white instant?
He has that take up the shield and
Oh,
Eldritch
okay.
Strike. And you drew an Urborg Repossession. Yeah, I kind of like just leaving the Gardener untapped to maybe block something, but in case the 3/3 goes away. Yeah, so just a little small, tiny little piece of advice for Crystal Grotto is that it will be almost always the last land that Arena taps automatically for you. So if you're not using it, uh, just tap it manually to pay for a colorless because otherwise it'll be the last one they ever tap. Found that out pretty early on, so little advice there.
Oh man.
All right, so we got
I
our
think
phalanx here.
I don't know if tapping the gardener there for a phalanx was intentional.
I think you, yeah, not sure, but he still can only cast one of his instants. Which again, this is what we see week 1 sometimes, right? Like he has a take up the shield and a lightning strike, and he has 5 lands in play and a creature that taps for any color, which he already used, and he can only cast still one of them. So it's very emblematic of some of these mana bases and what we see in week 1. He does have some dual lands in his deck. He just has not drawn any. So yeah, I mean, he's
That's
still
like
been able to keep himself alive and have a board. Uh, but again, this is what we see in the early days. Ooh, a
even in
hammerhand.
like past leagues where there was like the fixing is not that great and it's like not an artifact set, you'd still like find people playing 3 colors out of week 1 just because there's just not enough playables in like just straight 2 color to just make it work.
Yeah, in my mind, there's always like a high incentive to try and get to 2 colors, but in this league, kind of not really. There's not really that incentive. So now we're trading tricks again here, but the hammerhand is gonna stick here. We're gonna have an 8/4 trampler coming in
This is
without
a very
without a
large
block.
iconoclast.
Yeah. So again, Michael has been leveraging his tricks here, using them. using them pretty aggressively to keep literally there's just one creature alive many times because he's not drawn much else in the way of offense.
It's either a creature that can be cast with only one planes, or a planes to cast his other creature in his hand.
Yeah, we didn't see. I mean, we did see a bit stumbling of mana with Caleb, but we didn't see it to this degree. Yeah, even after like two losses or something, like your deck's gonna be a bit smoother. You're probably gonna decrease your splashing, if not remove it entirely, as some people have done. Uh, but yeah,
The
these
Bone
these
Splinters
these
here
these
is
uh, these zero loss decks are they're a sight to behold.
this Bone Splinters here looks like it could be the nail in the coffin for the game.
Okay. Yeah, that was the only threat, and it had been Michael used about three tricks to keep it alive, and now does not appear to have much going on. And furthermore, Mitch is going to use his Urborg repossession there to grab back two creatures, both of which are going to be large. So one which is large on its face, and one which can uh, use mana to pump. So it's the first time I think. Well, I mean, he played it on turn two, but just take a moment to talk about Sunbathing Root Wallet because this card is much better than any of the other cards that it looks like from the past. These Root Wallas are cards that can pump once a turn. This card's getting pumped like +4, sometimes +5 for 4 mana, and that's a 2 drop. That's a common. So I've been impressed with
Even
that one.
even +3. Like the
Yeah,
past root wall has always been like +2, or like uh, some variant of like +1, +2, +2, +2.
yeah.
And it's sort of that. This is like if you can get to +3, it's already a very good card.
Yeah, th-
Like
this this one's very pushed. I know the Root Wallas have a fond legacy, especially the one with Madness for 0. I think it was Basking Root Walla, the older an older card. So, but this one just is so strong. All right, so he's doing a mostly all out attack here into the boat. So he could pump his Root Walla. He could play his Take Up the Shield to save his 3/3, but he might just be okay with it dying. We'll see what he decides here. So he can do both. He can play Take Up the Shield and he can use the Root Walla if he wants to. All right. So he's just going to do that and play his 5/4. And looks like we might be wrapping this one up.
the no board wipe.
Yeah, the
Not
mana
much that can be done
troubles.
here.
I mean, the mulliganing game one, and then the mana troubles here. And I mean, he just had a bunch of tricks in hand, but only drew two creatures the whole game, right? And one of them was
Yeah.
a defender. So that's no matter how slow and inefficient your opponent's draw might be, which Mitch, did stumble, didn't really play things on curve or even close to that. Uh, but he just played things, even if they were slow and a bit behind. He still played things. So despite the lifelink, lifelink's going to be not near enough, unfortunately. So we're going to see Mitch win this one in our battle of you know early early form decks here with these zero loss decks. So thanks to both players. Congrats to Mitch, and we're gonna have one more feature match coming up a little later.
Yeah, congrats on the win. Sorry the game started so late.